Are you ready to hear some scary stories?
No.
Oh no, Papito, well you're in the wrong place, because today we're going to be reading some of my favorite scary stories from the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark trilogy by Alma Schwartz. A series of books traumatized me a lot when I was a kid. So when they came out with the movie, I of course had to revisit it. So here it is in our lovely book collection. So I have like 6,000 pounds of makeup on my face right now, Giselle. And I am so excited to share these with you. I'm going to just give a quick special shout out to all the monsters that were inside the Scary Story movie, including Harold. I will not be reading his story because everyone should have seen the story of Harold by now. It's story time. So this story is called The White Evening Satin Gown.
It's very specific.
The White Satin Evening Gown.
You got it wrong.
So this story haunted me forever, and it's why I have a really hard time buying clothes from thrift stores. A young man invited a young woman to a formal dance, but she was very poor and she could not afford to buy the evening gown she needed for such an occasion. Maybe you could rent a dress, her mother said. So she went to the pawn shop not far from where she lived. You can't rent a dress from a pawn shop.
I don't think so.
There, she found a white satin evening gown in her size. She looked lovely in it.
Giselle's just like, hi!
She looked lovely in it and was able to rent it for very little. Again, I'm confused. But anyways, when she arrived at the dance with her friend, she was so attractive. Everyone wanted to meet her.
So she's like Bella Swan.
Yeah, yeah. She danced again and again and was having a wonderful time. But then she began to feel dizzy and faint. And she asked her friend to take her home. I think I may have danced too much, she told him.
It's like back when anything would make a girl faint.
Oh, the sun is blaring directly on my poor faint little skin.
I think they just wanted to get out of work, and so they were like, oh no.
When she got home, she laid down on her bed. The next morning, her mother found that her daughter had died. Don't read ahead. The doctor did not understand what had caused her death, so he had the coroner do an autopsy.
She's dead now.
Yeah. The coroner found that she had been poisoned by embalming fluid. It had stopped her blood from flowing. There were traces of the fluid on her dress.
Would you like eat the dress?
No, you can absorb stuff through your skin. That's why you're not supposed to write on yourself with Sharpie.
And yet...
We all survived the 2000s. He decided it had entered her skin when she perspired while she was dancing. Just like I said. The pawnbroker said he bought the dress from an undertaker's helper. It had been used in a funeral for another young woman, and the helper had stolen it just before she was buried. Oh, this isn't the story I remember. I thought this was the one where she puts on the dress and then she gets paralyzed and she's at her funeral and she can't move and she's like looking around like, somebody help me, but no one can like tell because they think she's dead. This was not the story I thought it was, but I hope that everyone enjoyed it.
That was it? That was the end?
That was the end.
And so the Undertaker's assistant got charged with third-degree murder. I think that would be the right charge.
Yep. And theft.
Yeah, and theft. And I think there's also a charge for like messing with the corpse.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And then the ghost of the girl haunted him for the rest of his days.
Yes.
The end. Next up! Okay, so this one scared the hell a bit out of me.
Halibut?
The halibut. Yep, the fish. Right out of my face. So this one is called Oh Susanna. Returning to my childhood nightmares. Susanna and Jane shared a small apartment near the university where they were students.
And they were roommates.
When Susanna got back from the library one night, the lights were out and Jane was asleep. Stop reading ahead. Susanna undressed in the dark and quietly got into bed. She had almost fallen asleep when she heard someone humming the tune to the song Oh Susanna.
Do you know how much I would hate my life if my name was Susanna? And,
oh my god.
Like, people saying Oh Susanna?
Don't you cry for me, for I come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. Jane didn't answer, but the humming stopped. And Susanna fell asleep. She awakened early the next morning, too early, she decided, and was trying to get back to sleep when she heard the humming again. Please go back to sleep, she told Jane. It's too early to get up. Jane didn't answer, but the humming continued. Susanna became angry. Cut it out, she said. It's not funny. When the humming still did not stop, she lost her temper. She jumped out of bed, pulled the covers off Jane, and screamed. Jane's head was gone! Somebody had cut off her head. Sounds like my grandma's reading the newspaper to me. I'm having a nightmare, Susanna told herself. When I wake up, everything will be alright. Oh, that was the end. Man, these endings come fast.
But, like, explain the picture. That picture doesn't make any sense.
Next story. This one is called The Bed by the Window. I love this bed I love bed. I love this story particularly because I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid. 3 old men shared a room at the nursing home. Their room only had one window, but for them it was the only link to the real world.
It's so sad.
I know. Ted Conklin, who had been there the longest, had the bed next to the window. When Ted died, the man in the next bed...
Oh, no.
When Ted died, the man in the next bed, George Best, took his place, and the third man, Richard Green, took George's bed. Despite his illness, George was a cheerful man who spent his days describing the sights he could see from his bed. Pretty girls, a policeman on horseback, a traffic jam, a pizza parlor, fire station, and other scenes of life. Only when George died would he have his chance. He wanted to look out the window so badly that one day he decided to kill George.
Wow, what kind of life?
Survival of the fittest, man. He's gonna die soon anyway, he told himself. What difference would it make? George had a bad heart. If he had an attack during the night and a nurse could not get to him right away, he had pills he could take. He kept them in a bottle on the top of the cabinet between his bed and Richard's. All Richard had to do was knock the bottle onto the floor where George couldn't reach it. A few nights later, George died just as Richard had planned he would. And the next morning, Richard was moved to the bed by the window. Now he would see for himself all the things that George had described. After the nurses had left, Richard turned to the window and looked out. But all he could see was a blank brick wall.
That's what he gets.
Alright, well, thank you so much for joining us on day 10 of 31 Days of Halloween. Did you guys read this book when you were youngin'? And if so, what was your favorite story? What really traumatized you? I want to know. Thank you so much for your support, and as always, stay safe, stay happy, most importantly, stay you. We will see you guys again next time, and until then, we hope you have a magically wonderful day. I'm sorry, let me repeat that. Until then, we hope you have a magically spooky day. Bye.
Bye.